What's up, Jooba people? So, in this video I'm going to show you an approach to soloing that does not involve scales at all, okay? It only involves looking at the chords that you're soloing over. So if I'm soloing over a D minor and a C chord, I'm not going to try to figure out what scale it is. I'm just going to say what notes are in D minor and what notes are in C, and that together gives me a palette of notes that I can use to solo over. I can use all of those notes in the chord progression. The thing about Frusciante and Hendrix and Mayer, Clapton, David Gilmour, all these guys, their solos are so good because of the way the notes that they play sound over the underlying harmony, over the chords that they're playing it. And they're thinking of the notes not as these notes are from this scale or that scale. They're thinking of how is this going to sound over that specific chord? If I'm going to go to that D minor, how's this note going to sound? Is it going to sound stable? Is it going to sound unstable? What kind of sound is it going to be? And that's the approach that I want to teach you and show you today. So forget scales. We're not going to do any scales today. We're just going to do chords. Okay. Now for this lesson, I'm going to be soloing over a D minor and a C chord progression. A simple chord progression just so you understand the concept and you can apply it to any chord progression that you're soloing over. Okay, so it's very important to understand the chords. So a D minor chord played on the 5th fret like a bar chord is played like this, and it includes these notes. Now these are only 3 different notes, but they're played in different octaves, okay? And the C chord is played at the 3rd fret like that. Now if you combine these 2 chords together, you get this kind of palette of notes, right? If I'm taking the D minor as the green notes and the C are the pink notes. And if I combine those 2 together, I can make some riffs. Now for the most part, I just stuck to those notes. I just had one different note, which wasn't really a different note. It was just an octave of one of the notes inside the D minor chord. So over the D minor chord, I was playing the green ones and the pink ones. The pink ones are from the C chord, so they're going to sound a little bit more out of chord, if you want to call that. You might be familiar with the term chord tones. The green ones are the chord tones of D minor, the individual tones that make up the D minor chord. And the pink notes are the C chord tones. So on the C, they're going to sound very stable. They're going to sound like, yes, you're playing the right note, you're playing the note that fits with the chord. But you don't want to play notes that fit with the chord all the time. You actually never want to do that because it sounds so dull and boring. So if I was to play the D minor, and on the C, just play the C chord tones, it sounds just like, you know, you're just not the main player. You're not just saying something special. You're just doing your part. You know what I mean? And which you want to do if you're not soloing, then you want to play the chord tones. Sometimes not, but mainly you want to stick to the chord tones. You know. But if you want to add some emotion inside of the piece, then you want to add the non-chord tones. Okay, so the basic idea is taking these 2 chords and kind of blending them together to give you a palette of notes. But wait, we can go even further with this, right? So the D minor chord, the way you would usually play it is like that, right? But you can also use the octave shapes, which you should know, to find different ways to play the same notes. So this note here, the flat 3 of the D minor, you can also play there because of this octave shape, right? So now you've expanded your chord to include that note over there. So alright, and the same way you can use the octave of this 5th note of the chord to be played at the top 3. Right? And the same way you can take this whole chord a little bit back and include this flat 3, which this flat 3 is the same note as that note, right? Because that's the octave. Okay, so now I've got this palette. Right, and I can also add this root note over here because that's the same as my original root note. So now for the D minor, I've got all these notes. And then if I do the same thing with the C chord, so this is my original C, but I can add this note because that's the same as that one. That's an octave, right, for the C. I can do the same here, that octave, that one, and that one. And that way, I've expanded my C chord to include these notes. Now, if I put these two chords over each other, like so, give me 1 second. So then I've got this palette of, well, essentially about 30 different notes that I can use. And I'm thinking of them, let me give you a backtrack and I'll show you. Okay, so in the D minor, to the C, back to the D minor, and I go to the C. C up here. You get the idea, right? And the thing that makes this so useful, it's not the same as a scale, right? Because I'm really conscious of the chords. I'm not thinking of one scale. I'm thinking of two chord patterns, or arpeggios if you want. Arpeggios is just a chord played, the specific notes of the chord played, not at the same time, right? So I'm just going. So I'm thinking of two arpeggio patterns together. And what that means is I'm always following the chord. And it doesn't mean I'm just playing the pink notes when I'm on C and playing the green notes when I'm in D minor. It means that I know what the notes are going to feel like before I play them. So I know that this note over here is the flat 3 of the D minor, okay? That note's going to be very D minor-y, right? So that note belongs to D minor, but this note belongs to C. So that means when I'm on the D minor chord, this note is going to really belong. But when I'm on the C, it's going to be like tension, right? It's not going to be... It's going to want to go back. Whoa, to the C. And vice versa. So this note is stable on the C, but on the D minor it's going to be unstable. Ooh. So I've got this video of a Frusciante riff, learning the same thing from Frusciante riffs, like how their riffs are so good, and you should go watch that next. So that will be really fun. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, if you want an extended video of this type of thing. And I want to also tell you about my music theory course. If you want to go do that, go check it out. The links will be in the description, and that will really help you understand this thing of intervals and, you know, how different notes sound around different chords and things. Have a nice day. Bye.